What's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and this is, I guess, the Doug Show Live niche site project. I'm going to answer questions and probably tell some stories here. Welcome. Let me know if you could hear me. Should be live here in a second, and I can confirm. Let me know where you're from, if it's your first time on, and stuff like that. It's always good to have you here. And I don't have specific talking points today, so it makes it a little more freeing. We can talk about keyword research a little bit. I know sometimes people like to see demos and stuff like that. We might be able to pull it up. We got Alex Rivera. What's up? Good to see you. Nomad Overseas, Book on Board, Nate. People can hear me. That's great. I could take these headphones off then. So good to see everyone down here in the basement, which is great because it's been warm here the last couple days. Diane's on as well from Florida. David helping us out in the chat. He's a moderator. Thanks a lot. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat here. I went on a hike yesterday, which was awesome. I went with my friend Robert, and we actually summited two 13,000 foot peaks, so 13ers. And Nate's from Canada. We have David from the Bay Area. So we went on a pretty big hike yesterday. It was over in I guess it was near Brainerd Lake. That's what it's called for the people that know the area around here. So sort of the foothills south of the Rocky Mountain National Park, but some big peaks up there. So we hiked up Paiute Peak, and then we went to Mount Audubon. And these are sort of like training hikes for doing Longs Peak. We're planning on doing Longs later on this year with a group of people. So we're trying to go on progressively harder hikes. Well, Robert's been doing a lot better training. I've just gone on some normal hikes, and then I was like, that sounds great. Let's do it. We'll go on a Tuesday so it won't be too crowded. We got started about 6 a.m. It took us a lot longer than we expected, a lot longer than the estimates, because we actually went on the more difficult route. So the prescribed route, you go on a gradual uphill and then you come down sort of the steep section. We did the opposite. We went up the steep section where there's actually no trail. You just have to like scramble up rock and sort of climb and figure out. I mean, you don't need ropes or anything, but you have to use your hands to pull yourself around. And again, there's no trail to just walk up. And I can't remember the exact elevation gain in the short stretch it was in, but it was something on the level of like 1,500 feet of elevation gain in like a third of a mile or something like that. So basically we're at the foot of this extremely steep incline, and then we went up it. And then to go from Paiute to Audubon, you have to go down about, say, like 300 feet and then back up, and you're on this ridge. I'll actually show some pictures here. I do have some pictures that I took. I didn't take a ton, but a few, especially once you reach sort of the summit area. Once you hit that point, actually, let me know in the chat, have many people hiked up to like the top of mountains where you can see other mountains and hidden valleys and just alpine lakes? It was amazing. I didn't expect all the things that we saw, but it was a pleasant surprise. Nomad Overseas said it was 28 degrees Celsius in Dublin, and I thought it was going to melt. Irish people aren't built for the heat. That's this little thing's too big. This chat's too big. I don't know how to make it smaller. I'll have to look at that in a second. Oh, wait. Is that how you do it? I'll have to solve this puzzle soon. I'm not sure why it was so big there, but okay. So like I said, we can answer some questions. We can actually take a look at some websites or something like that too. But for now, why don't I show you some of the pictures so you can see. This is like it's not even a vlog. I'm just going to show you some pictures. It's more like a slideshow and me buying time. It's a luxury we have. Sometimes we go really deep and technical, and other times we can just show pictures on the hike I went on yesterday. Okay. I think this should work. Boom. And I think I could actually zoom in a little bit. So this is like when we were just getting started, and I thought, hey, that lake looks pretty nice. And it just got better from there, really. So as we move through here, we approached this this other lake, and I saw a moose. I'm not sure if you could see that very well, but there's a moose down there, which was pretty cool. It was a lady moose, so didn't have the big antlers or anything like that, but it's still cool to see. And then we approached this area here, and that's Blue Lake, which was amazing. That's me standing there. So this is way up, I don't know, must be close to 10,000 feet or so, maybe a little higher. A lot of wildflowers up there, little tiny wildflowers. So I took a bunch of those pictures. So this is a peak adjacent to what we climbed, but it was, I think it was far too steep to actually climb up that, especially when you got to the ridge area. So let's see. Then we have, this is what we climbed up. So you may not be able to tell from here, but basically this is very steep going up here. And eventually, like, this is the peak that we got to. And what we did from here, we had to hike over to like this zone to the grassy area and then go around this snow field right here. And then once you get to about here, then it looks like it's almost straight up. Even though from this angle, it looks, I mean, it looks steep, but when you're at the foot of it, it looks like a unpassable cliff. All right. So this is one of the lakes as we were going up. There's my buddy Robert. So this is kind of where I was talking about. So when you think back, hey, you got to go around the snowfields. So we were over one of those snowfields, and then we then navigated up this area to the right of this snowfield up here. And then that's the peak right up here, the very top. And didn't mean to zoom in there. Okay. So yeah, we ended up just going back and forth in this zone here and eventually got up to the top right there. Insane. Okay. So we're going along. That's the peak we didn't go up. More wildflowers and such right here. And this is very small. This is up in the tundra area. So you end up with these little plants that grow for a few weeks per year because it's usually very cold up there. So that, you know, these plants may be 150 years old or something like that. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is a glacier right here. So a small glacier, but as we got up higher, you could actually see some of the melt, and it looked extremely blue, which was pretty cool. So let's see more wildflowers. Let's go a little bit further in here where we were up higher. So this, once we got up near the top, I realized, hey, that's Long's Peak over there. So this is Long's Peak, which was just a little further north, much different angle from where we normally see it over here to the east from Longmont. So this is up top. If you could imagine being up there and, you know, this drops down, that's like 2,000 feet down below there. At least something like that. There's all these lakes that you start to see. There's another lake there, and there's snow runoff. Here's Long's Peak again from a slightly different angle. And then this is the other mountain. This is Mount Audubon that we climbed later. So we eventually, you know, hiked down to this point, and then you go all the way back up here. So I think, I'm trying to remember exactly, I think this Mount Audubon is about 13,200 feet, something like that, roughly in that range. I tried not to take too many pictures and just enjoy the hike here, but another lake, there's Robert hiking down between these two peaks, which was, I mean, this was really hard. It took 10 hours Or sorry, it was 10 miles and it took just under 9 hours. So after we like traversed up, we had to go back down a few hundred feet and then go back up. Again, no trail here. You just have to climb and walk around on these boulders. So this is not 360 view, but more like 270. But this is, you're just up at the top of the mountain. You can see ridge over ridge over ridge and just all over the place. If you have a chance to do it, go for it. Very difficult, very rewarding though. So here's, again, up at the top here, I guess this is Mount Audubon. And one more panoramic here, which, you really just can't appreciate, but you can see. It's just amazing. It's hard to put into words. All right, and then we're coming on down this way, more lakes and stuff. Really breathtaking, really breathtaking. So thanks for the folks that appreciate some of the views here. And finally, this is on the way down and kind of looking back up. You can't see too well, but that's one of the peaks we climbed, and I think the other one is hidden over to the right a little bit more. But pretty nice out here in Colorado. So let me jump back here. All right. So there's a few other folks in the chat, so thanks for hopping on. We see Mark mentions the problem isn't the heat, but it's the humidity. And this, I don't know why these little chat windows are so zoomed in. All right, I'm not going to do that anymore. Book on board says it's 45 degrees. And being from the southeast area of Georgia, or of the U.S. down in Georgia, yeah, the humidity is terrible. When we were at the top, it was about 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So pretty cool. It didn't feel cold though. It was even windy, but with the sun beating down on you, you really don't feel cold. So we have Jaron on. We are just chatting generally today. So I may bust out a keyword research tool coming up, but generally we're just chatting. Book on Board asks if detox is a good upcoming niche. I would personally not go for that, but it is a popular topic. The reason why I wouldn't go for it is on the edge of health and your money or your life type topics. So it is potentially susceptible to Google algorithm updates where your expertise or authority and trust are going to be in question. So I would probably skip it personally. Also, I'm not interested in that topic at all, but I know it is sort of a hot topic, and I know some people have courses and other information on it. So there's an audience there, but unless you're into detox, I would not go for it at all. Someone else says, I have a doubt. What is the future of blogging and SEO? Please reply. Well, first, what is your doubt about blogging and SEO? Maybe that'll help me answer your question just for you, because I think in a general sense, blogging has sort of shifted and SEO has shifted and matured over time, but in the same way that it's shifted and matured over time since I started and then the preceding 10 years before that as well. So with that said, it'll probably shift again, but I don't know what your doubt is. But if you're afraid of, changes in the future, then unfortunately, everything will be changing in the future, whether you're approaching physical products and sales or e-commerce, or maybe you're thinking YouTube is going to be better than SEO and blogging. They're all going to shift and change in the future. So if you let me know what your problem is, then maybe I can address it specifically. Michael says you grew up in the Kingsland, Georgia. Am I from that area? You know what? I don't know where Kingsland is at, but I'm from the Atlanta suburbs in the Gwinnett region. Book on board, can I name 3 up and coming niches? So I don't really do that sort of thing. You should probably pick your own niche. And I have many videos and guides on how to pick niches. But if you forced me, I'll go ahead and tell you this is a smart-ass answer, and I've done this before. So erectile dysfunction, that's up and coming. COVID, right? That's a niche that's really big at this point in time and probably going to continue to grow. And what about politics? So those are all niches that are going to be growing. I wouldn't go for any of those, by the way, but I don't tell people what to choose. You should figure it out for yourself, because what might be good for you wouldn't necessarily be good for someone else, and vice versa. It's much better for you to pick something on your own for specific reasons. Plus, if I told you 3 great ones and then everyone else here did the same thing that you were going to do, and you're all competing against each other, it's kind of better if you figure it out on your own. Someone, Wise, says, what's the hosting that I recommend? So typically I aim for a couple hosting companies, although I really don't care. You can sign up for any of them. I'm an affiliate for MDD hosting. It's sort of a smaller one, and SiteGround. Those are very good. Someone recommends WP Engine. From my recommendation, my personal experience, I think they're a little expensive for what they offer, and I think you can get it cheaper somewhere else for comparable. Okay, so Sacklin says the doubt that he has is, what is the scope of affiliate sites in SEO? Because very people says affiliate sites in SEO is dead. So I think you're okay if you affiliate sites and SEO, they're not dead. This is one of those sort of clickbait kind of videos or topics where you say X is dead, and then you list like how a specific industry is shifting. So if you buy into it, then you can follow along with whatever the person said. They may be promoting some other sort of thing, which is fine. I'm not here to tell you that that person's wrong or anything. It's certainly changed over the years. However, I would say that a lot of people still use search engines. Like a huge, amazing amount of people use search engines. So SEO is not dead. That's a stupid thing to say. I will come out and say that. Maybe those people aren't wrong, but it's a stupid thing to say. SEO is not dead. Affiliate sites, I mean, I think you can go and see how the market has shifted and the industry has shifted, but it's still a viable thing to work on. And if you look at some of actually one of the very recent videos that I published on the channel here is one of my students who has a site worth about 300K or so. She created her site about 2.5 years ago, and it's been slowly growing over time. Now, that's a good example of how affiliate marketing and SEO is not dead. And I know that we can all come up with examples of sites that are not working and then use those to say that affiliate marketing and SEO is dead. So I'll leave it at that and just say things are changing, and they will continue to change, and they'll shift, and we should shift along with it. It'll be great if we can move ahead of the curve a little bit and be ahead of it. So, all right, we'll move on. I'm not going to harp on that or get on a soapbox too much. And I am going to try and figure out how to change the size of this chat, which is comically large. Can I do that? How can I make this smaller? Oh, I think that's worse. Hold on. Let me see here. It's just the box is so large. What is going on here? Hold on. Give me a second here, folks. I don't know what is happening. fly in, scrolling ticker. It's like the little window is massively huge for any of these chat windows. What the fuck? What is going on? How can I change? I've never had this problem before. All right, I'm just going to read it and keep going with this. Nate says, with upcoming technology changes, I'm thinking of the lines of browser privacy. Do I see more challenges on the way with monetizing blogs and sites from an affiliate marketing sense? No, I am generally not very alarmist. I'm very slow to move and slow to make judgments on things. So I like to gather a lot of information if possible. And I think things are going to shift, but here's the interesting part. So companies like Ezoic, which shout out to a sponsor of this live stream, Ezoic and some of their peers in the display ad space and Google AdSense. We also have, I guess, just from the affiliate marketing space, we have, Amazon being a big one, but there's thousands of other companies and affiliate programs, tens of thousands most likely of affiliate programs. And the big thing is the companies like Google and AdSense, Google and ads on YouTube. And then we have all of the display ad companies that are usually very tight partners with Google. They make most of their money, perhaps nearly all of their money, from ads. So they're going to figure out how to continue to earn money. And we as content publishers, we earn a percentage. So there's a pretty good likelihood they're going to figure it out before it becomes a major issue. And then we're going to continue to get the same piece of our pie, right? And when you peel it back and you think like on a bigger level, like Google is going to figure out how to continue to make a huge amount of money. Otherwise, they're really fucked, right? People retarget visitors on their websites with ads on YouTube. So it's a whole ecosystem, right? So even forget about the display ads on websites and blogs and stuff. People are retargeting those visitors on YouTube. They're going to figure out how to address this in some way. How, I'm not sure, but they have a lot more to lose than we do generally. All right. And Nate says, I've been around or involved in affiliate marketing since the late 90s. Every couple of years, affiliate marketing is declared dead. Yes, basically, thank you, Nate. 100% right. You can look back and find, whatever industry it is, people will say that because they're usually trying to market some other thing. As a marketer myself, I mean, I see that done all the time. And yeah, I'll move on. Otherwise, I'll just go down a weird rabbit hole here. And there we go. This is a better size. There, I just need to be able to resize it a little bit. Okay, so Weiss says, what hosting? There's links in the show notes here for MDD hosting and SiteGround. I'm an affiliate for both. And I did mention Ezoic before, so shout out to Ezoic and their new product, Leap, that helps your site load faster and get green for the core web vitals, which we're all concerned about. In fact, I have a few videos out on the topic in the last few weeks. So you should check out Ezoic if you haven't. Leap has replaced their old site speed accelerator, which was a fine product. I think it was a little bit, there were two options on that old product, but now Leap is just free to use if you're monetized with Ezoic, which is, for most people, not all, but a lot of people do end up earning more versus something like AdSense. And I have talked to some people that have switched from some of the other display ad companies, and they've earned more by using Ezoic. Now, will that be the case for your specific site? I can't say that for sure. Every niche is different, and you may have better partners and advertisers and stuff like that. So worth it to check out Ezoic though. And thank you for, sponsoring the show. Z Shan says, I need a suggestion for Amazon affiliate niche that is outdoor hiking kayaks. Is it worth it to create a blog on this niche? Well, kind of like before, I can't answer that for you specifically, but I can tell you that I have seen many profitable websites in kayaks and outdoor hiking and such. So it wouldn't be a bad thing, I would say. It's especially great if you're into that specific topic. ODYS says, hi, sir. My site is 3 months old. I have 19 KGR posts and no backlinks. Daily impressions are 100, improving daily, but no clicks. Well, great on taking action. That's great. And you say there are people on Fiverr with gigs to get backlinks. Should I go for them? I can't afford guest posts because no idea of backlinks. All right. So a couple things. Number one, no, don't get the Fiverr gigs. Those are, five links for $20. You're basically going to end up with something really terrible. So don't do that. You say you can't afford guest posts because you have no idea of backlinks. So good news, I have a lot of videos and other information on getting links and stuff. And actually, this is a good point in time where I can say, if you can't afford backlinks by using a service, figure out how to do it yourself. If you have very little money to invest, which is the case for so many of us, I mean, that was how it was, especially when I first got started. If you have time, then you could just dedicate the time to figure it out. If, for example, if you have time to network and go research and figure out how to get those backlinks or guest posts or whatever kind of backlink that you're looking for, you have a valuable skill. A lot of the backlink services are charging, $100 to $600 for guest post links. How did they do that? How did they manage to get those backlinks? And if you have a website, you may be getting these spammy emails from companies that are saying, hey, can we guest post on your site? We will pay you $30 or something. So in a lot of cases, they are spamming the internet, finding blogs that will accept a small amount of money to publish those backlinks in the guest post. And then they're charging many times that. Sometimes, they'll pay $30 for a link and then they're charging $600. So there's a couple things here. One, if you figure out how to do it, then you don't have to pay those huge rates, especially if you can't afford it, then you wouldn't be doing it anyway. The other part is if you can figure out how to do it, you can then offer it as a service to other people because it's one of the biggest headaches. I mean, people don't know or they get frustrated trying to get backlinks. Now, that said, I wouldn't necessarily want to get most of my links from websites that will accept $20 to $40 for a guest post because everyone else is doing that. And that's who the companies are working with because it's cheaper. So they're running a business, right? So they have to figure out their cost. They have to charge more than that. They have some bullshit overhead that they have to charge for as well. So you end up in a situation where if you could figure out how to do backlinks, and yeah, it's hard, right? I mean, a lot of this stuff we're doing is hard. It's fairly easy to find keywords and it's fairly easy to publish content, hire people, publish the content, write it yourself. It's fairly easy to do that. It's a little bit more difficult to get the backlinks because there's several hurdles in the way and you have to interact with other people. So it's a little bit harder. If it was easy, then everyone would do it. So when people say, I was going to do some backlinks, but you know what? It was just too hard and I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to take the easy route. That's what everyone does. So if you want to stand out from the competition and figure out how to get better backlinks, then you may have to go through the learning curve, the difficulty of figuring out a better way to network how to get your emails noticed. Maybe you want to take a different route, something different than guest posting. Maybe you want to, take an approach where you're trying to do roundup posts and just build relationships. And maybe it doesn't pay off with backlinks quickly, but you may have much better backlinks over time. Book on Board says how to be your student. Go sign up for my email list, nichesiteproject.com. In fact, if people haven't signed up for the email list, you get all my templates, you get all my systems. I share a lot of information, and I send some emails to point you in the direction of helpful content, the most helpful content that I have, because I want you to see the good stuff that I have. So I actually just closed enrollment for my course on Friday. So it's closed currently, and it opens up occasionally. So keep an eye out for that. You can sign up for that email list, and you'll basically be notified whenever I open up the course again. Radha Krishna says, do I love or hate algorithm updates? Well, it always depends. It always depends on the update and how it treats my sites. But typically, the sites, most of the time, a couple do better and a couple do worse. It's usually kind of random. So next we have VPG says, how important is having the niche keyword in the domain name these days? Even though it's not important to Google, I think it's important from the visitor perspective? Not too much. I think it should be relevant to the niche in general, but the specific keywords, I mean, hopefully you're targeting your keywords to a very broad niche so that you have the ability to expand over time if you want to. So I would say it's not super important to have like any specific keyword in there, but it should be relevant to the overall domain, the overall niche. I have seen Alex Cooper over at WP Eagle. He's done a few sites publicly where he has exact match keywords in the domain, which is counterintuitive. He mentioned when I interviewed him recently that some buyers were concerned, and they looked at it and they said, we're not going to get an exact match domain. It is a little, it's sort of amateurish at this point to do that, I believe. It can work just fine, but if you are trying to sell the site and someone has like big visions to have a bigger site or a portfolio of sites, they may not want to have a keyword, an exact match keyword in there. So niche relevant is good. Paul, what's going on? Paul says, you're getting 800 to 900 organic visits from Google per day on a 2-year-old site with 152 articles. 100 are over a year old. Should I make new content or improve articles that are not ranking? I would probably improve articles that are ranking. Improve articles that are ranking. So I don't think there's a big advantage to go back and improve the articles that are doing poorly. They're not working well. So if you put in X amount of effort to improve them, let's say they rank 25. If you can improve them 8 positions, they're still going to be beyond the top 10. But if you have some posts that are, say, ranking in the top 15 or maybe even in the top 10, if you can improve them, you're going to be in much better shape. The thing is, if you target the content that is ranking, say, in the top 15, then Google likes those posts already. They're already ranking. Go in and improve those, and you're going to end up in a better spot. So I encourage you to check some of my recent podcasts. And in fact, Paul, if you go to Niche Site Project, you'll find a case study that I worked on for about 6 months this year. And it was the site growth plan case study, or site growth case study. That's what it was called. Site growth case study. Go look at what I did there. I basically doubled traffic by tweaking a handful of things on a much smaller site than what you're talking about. But generally, you should work on the stuff that's working. If it's not ranking, just move on. Below average blogger says, sell a site before a 100K valuation or after. I keep hearing it's harder to post 100K. Well, honestly, it depends on your goals and what you're trying to do. I would say if it's important for you to sell for over 6 figures, then do that. I haven't tried to sell anything in the last 8 months, so I can't tell you. I would say you probably can still sell. I mean, there's a lot of money in the market right now. So I would say it's probably still relatively straightforward to sell under 250, 300 or so. You'll probably still be able to sell quickly. However, yeah, under 100K, yeah, it's going to be, some people will have that laying around and ready to invest. I would say it really depends on like how quickly you want to sell, how much you want to sell it for, maybe the growth trajectory on your site. If it's growing pretty fast, you may be able, well, you're not trying to maximize. Yeah, your question leads me to believe something around, you want to sell it fast. So if you want to sell it faster, then you may want to sell under 100K. All right, Adrian's on. Good to see you. Another moderator. The topic today is everything. We're just chatting. I didn't have a specific topic. And below average blogger is from Colorado. Nice. Yeah, cheers. I'm out here too. You may have missed all the hiking pictures. I just showed pictures earlier. Mouse says, will Autoblog work or Spinner for articles? No, it won't. It won't work. So just in a general sense, if anything is easy or cheap or fast or anything, it's just not going to work. So if you just think about it yourself and think, hey, if we could just all do this Autoblogger stuff. Honestly, I don't even know how the fuck we're answering this question still. That's amazing to me. But generally, it's not going to work. Or if you see, I'm actually curious how this AI stuff, I haven't played with it very much. I played with a couple of the AI things and it was, it didn't work that well. I'll put it that way. A lot of them, like Market Muse, I like those guys at Market Muse. They'll say, hey, it's called First Draft. It can get you started and all that stuff. And I think it could be okay for a first draft, but I put in something pretty simple and it didn't really work out. It didn't really work out. This is a little, since we're just chatting here, feel free to ask questions, by the way. I was thinking about like the guest post question and like networking and stuff like that. So not too long ago, someone pinged me. They said, hey, I'm doing a roundup video. Can you send me your best tip? I was like, what? I didn't know who it was. I don't know who it is. And basically I get a lot of emails. So I said, tip on what? Like, it's a little vague. I'm not really sure. I'm pretty busy. And they said, hey, can you give me this tip? Just send me a video by next Monday. And it was like a Wednesday. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm not taking assignments from random people I don't know. They're like, hey, can you do this work for me for free? And by the way, here's a vague ask. So they said, hey, what's your best tip? I'm like, best tip on what? It could be SEO, could be content, could be podcast, could be YouTube. It could be my best life hack. It could be my best tip for productivity, whatever, right? It's a pretty vague ask. So I was like, hey, man, I'm too busy. Also, I'm not even really sure what you're asking about because your request is a little bit vague. And they replied back. This is how not to network with me specifically. I could be an asshole though. And John noted, I mean, I'm a guy who's wearing, a shirt that has a dog pooping on it. So keep that in mind. That's the guy. That's the guy you're listening to. So anyway, they reply back. So I said, hey, it's a little bit vague, little short time frame. I don't even know what you're looking for here because I have such a diverse set of information. My best tip could be irrelevant. I could tell you, hey, be sure you check your oil often enough. Change your oil every 3,000 miles. This is a great tip for a car, right? So anyway, he replied back and said, I think my question was pretty good. And our industry is fairly straightforward. So if you can't figure it out, then I don't know. So probably not going to work with that guy. And I didn't reply back. I thought about replying back, but it's like, what the fuck? What could I even say to the person if they are not? Yeah, they definitely did not do a good job networking. I won't mention their name here. All right, lot of love in the chat for this below average blogger. Very nice. Very nice. Thanks for joining up in here. All right. Mao says, can you share how much you make income report for each or all projects, niche projects we may have? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, but I don't share my income or revenue for any particular site or anything like that. My friend Alex, WP Eagle, he does. A lot of other people do. I see below average blogger has some sort of notation on his little, here, I'll try to, you see his little, there's something about 47 cents. That's how much you've earned today. So it looks like he's sharing some of his earnings, but I don't share my earnings, basically. Amin says, I hope you're doing well. Thanks. Nomad Overseas says, okay, this is great. I'm building a test site with Conversion AI. Their system has improved a lot with the most recent update. I'm going to go for a shotgun strategy, a shitload of low competition keyword articles. Syed, well, let me know how it goes. Nomad Overseas, please. Very interested in that. And I'll take a pause real quick so we can hear from one of our friendly sponsors. I think I have the video loaded right here. Let's roll it. Here's a word from our sponsor, Otis Global. That's ODYS, and you can kickstart your online business with a premium age domain from Otis. They're the source for age domains with strong branding and powerful backlinks. The featured domain for this week is Massive Phobia. Massive Phobia was a health blog covering the subject of phobias, as you might imagine, and the site was we'll call it fun and imaginative. It covered the top 10 phobias of some of the most well-known people in the world, real and fictional. And after learning about the fears of Batman and Mr. Potato Head, there was also a serious side to the site looking at legit phobias affecting everyday people. It's kind of interesting. If you go hop back over on the Wayback Machine, you can take a look at the different snapshots here, and I'll read off a few of these. So top 10 ways to boost your mental health. Well, that's actually a pretty legit one, but it's targeting anxiety and depression, how to survive Valentine's Day with depression. So that was published around a February timeframe. Am I addicted to lip balm? Okay, so there's a lot of different things, and it's on the edge of sort of health in some ways, but at the same time, you can actually make this pretty amusing by covering some of the phobias that aren't funny to the people that have them, but they could be amusing to other people. Like if you're addicted to lip balm or something like that, you're obsessed with lip balm. Let's get into the stats here versus me trying to not make fun of people with phobias. All right. So it was created in 2017. It's 4 years old. Currently, the domain rating is 9, but it's been as high as 27. The domain authority is 29. It, of course, has a pretty brandable domain name with phobia, potentially one of the keywords that you might be targeting in there. Now, well, I'm gonna pretty much say the best monetization for this particular site is most likely around display ads. Probably not a surprise. You potentially could promote some affiliate products or have display ads that you've worked out a specific deal with a company, but in general, these are going to be sort of potentially viral post. You may be able to get quite a bit of organic traffic. As I'm looking over at Ahrefs, I see that they were getting quite a bit of organic traffic back in the heyday before they stopped working on the site and then let it go into auction. Looks like the estimated traffic back in early 2018 was about 6,000 visitors per month, and often it's much higher than that. So it could be 2 to 5 times higher than that. So they were getting a decent amount of traffic in the heyday, and then it slowly declined over time. Still has quite a few backlinks pointing to it. 94 referring domains, 61 of those referring domains are do follow, and 258 do follow backlinks currently. They have some pretty awesome links from big websites, of course. We have Pick the Brain, Hello Giggles, and iflscience.com. There's a lot of branded anchor text, and this is still in the Google index. So that is a positive thing. You can go have a look at Otis and some of the other sites that they have, some of the other domains. And I took a look, and it's sort of interesting. There's 3 domains that have phobia in it. So you potentially could have the opportunity to get into the phobia space if that's your thing for some reason or another, and have several different sites that you consolidate into one and go from there. So that could be sort of a high value way to acquire these sites and do something interesting. If you join Otis using my affiliate link, my special link there, you can get $100 into your account. So you just have to go and apply. It's one of those deals you have to be accepted into it. So even if you're not in the market, today to buy a domain, go have a look. It could be something that you can take advantage of in the future. Keep an eye out for a domain relevant to maybe a site that you already have or something that you're scoping out. So thanks again to Otis. Really appreciate their sponsorship. All right, we're back. So that was from Otis. We appreciate the sponsorship, and quick favor, if you're watching this, hit the thumbs up. If you're watching it later, hit the thumbs up too. That'll be great. If you joined late, you missed a slideshow. I showed pictures from a hike that I went on yesterday, which was pretty awesome. I got to hike more during the week and take advantage of the beautiful the summer. It was fantastic, especially it was so hot down here. It was like 98. 99, something like that. Up at the top of the mountain, it was like 48. Felt amazing. So Mal asked about like an income template to sum things up, and maybe we can do one live here. Dan's on. Dan, what's happening? So I'm not 100% sure what is like what people need in the spreadsheet here. So we'll just kind of make it up as we go along. And the good part with any of these sort of templates, you can just add to it. My tip is to just keep it as simple as possible for as long as possible, and you can add to it to make it more complicated as you need it. I mean, you shouldn't try to make it more complicated, but if you need to add more information so you have more like a dashboard, then you can go for it. Pretty straightforward. And Mal liked the video, so yeah, I would love it if more people hit the thumbs up. It'll actually be a test. I haven't been asking people to like the video in a very long time, and there's a handful of people that like it. Some cool people in the chat. Will encourage other folks to like the video. I think it helps the video to be suggested, it might not. Who knows? Who knows? If you're watching later, leave a comment and you stuck around for like 50 minutes watching this thing. A couple people have asked about what's on the shirt. Yeah, this is a gift from my sister and brother-in-law. It is indeed taking a dog taking a crap here. So very, very nice. I try to wear this occasionally, get some funny looks around the neighborhood and such. But I am, I'm often walking a dog, so I think people get it. People like dogs. All right, so let's do this little template. Appreciate the folks that liked the video. Let's see. Oh, there's me just scratching my head. All right, here we go. So very simply, this is what I wrote in during the ad there. So you can put the site. So we have that, the site, the income source. You could list like maybe it's Amazon, for example, or maybe it's Ezoic, or maybe it's like another affiliate program, affiliate number 1, something like that. And then you can sort of like list the month, year if you want to. So you can have, maybe you have May 2021, and maybe that'll be, for that. Then you could list however much it is, something like that. And then you have the amount, and maybe this is all for site 1. So this could all potentially live on one sheet, and you could just have, site 1 in this section. I'm not 100% sure if things would get a little messy, if you do it that way. So site 1 can live here, and then you can have the different months. I was hoping it was going to update. So you can list the different months that are relevant here. Maybe if we do it like this, it'll update. Son of a bitch. No. Okay, you get the point though. So you could do it this way. You can have all the site 1 here, and then you can set up filters if you want, like so. So you may have another site here. So you may have site 2. Maybe you have a few. Maybe you have a few listed there for site 2 and the same months. Maybe you don't have as many different revenue streams, but you get the idea. It would also be good, most likely, to have an expense column. So you could list out your expenses specifically per month, per site, so you have a handle on that stuff. So this would be sort of a starting point. So you have the month, and then you have the income source and the site. If you are a little savvy with, if you're a little bit savvy with pivot tables, you potentially can look and see, oh, how much did I make from Amazon from each of the various sites across the entire year. Additionally, right, if you're not that good with pivot tables, you could, filter in that way. So you would get rid of everything and just have Amazon listed. Of course, I didn't populate anything else out here, so you lose some of that visibility. But the point is you can, filter things like this. Again, if you're good with pivot tables and you have a little bit more data on here, you can create some more sophisticated graphs and analysis and just kind of get an understanding on what's going on. Below average blogger says you got to run, driving out to Denver. All right, good luck. Oh, Eric is on. We got Eric here, and then we have Safula. What's up? Okay, cool. So this is sort of the general idea. You could just recreate this on your own. I'm not going to grab the link here specifically, although, you know what, I'll throw it in the chat for people that are actually here. Anyone with the link can view. So if you're actually here on the chat, you might be able to get to this link. I know sometimes Google screws up these links, or YouTube screws up these links. So you might be able to get to that. And then you can go from there. I think I probably did a okay job, enough to get you started there. All right. Paul says, do you recommend using conclusion to sum up or related article section in the blog post to try to rank for very long tail keywords? It depends on the article. Generally, I would not necessarily sum things up. I would most likely hop over, or I would most likely look at the article and then figure out if it makes sense to just recommend the one best product one more time, like the highest recommended product. If it's some informational article, it may make sense to sum it up. As far as related articles to try to rank for long tail keywords, I probably wouldn't do that to try and rank for long tail keywords. Doesn't quite make sense to me. If you found that to be effective, I would say, continue doing it. But I haven't ever noticed that. You can put a related article section. I think that would be fine. These are not mutually exclusive at all. You can do them both. And thanks, Diane, for checking the link. Really appreciate it. All right. So the other thing I can do before we finish up, people have really enjoyed using and checking out Keyword Chef, and you could check out the link in the show notes. You can get 1,000 free credits for Keyword Chef. So I'm going to share my screen, and someone mentioned hiking before, so I'm just going to type that in, see what happens. So it could take a full minute for this to kick through. And Keyword Chef was created by my friend Ben. It's been around for several months, but it's still a relatively young sort of tool. So we have a ton of questions. We have a lot of best of and how to. Pretty good split here. Pretty good split. So I'm going to narrow this down a little bit and ignore keywords with boots or shoes, or I'm going to try and get rid of a few here. Okay, so I'm going to just look at how to. All right, we're just going to look at how to. It doesn't mean that questions and best of keywords are not good. They're all good. All of these keywords are going to be great. I'm just filtering it out because we don't need to look at all of them. And I'm gonna try and filter out and get this number. Oh, we want dogs. Try to get this number a little bit lower. So I'm just gonna filter out like a handful of these things to narrow it down a little bit. Again, questions and best of and how to, they're all fine. I'm just filtering it out for this specific example here. So we'll get the keywords, and we end up with all of these how to article or how to keywords. And as you can see, we can see the average keyword search volume. We also see the high number of searches and the low number of searches, so that we have an idea, where that average came from, and the idea of, is there a big seasonality component? So we see this first one here, the average is 1,000, and we see the range is from 480 searches per month up to 1,600. That's a fairly big range. We see some others with a tighter range. So this one here, how to start hiking, is 260 to 390. So not nearly the variation. And that tells you that there's a little bit less seasonality. So I'll say that again. That tells you there's a little bit less seasonality if there's not as huge of a range. So does that matter much? Maybe not, but it's interesting to note. I mean, if you can take advantage of that seasonality, that's a great thing, but it is something to just be aware of. So as we scroll down, we see a descending order. And so that means that the keyword search volumes are getting smaller as we go down. In a lot of ways, it's great to target these very low search volume keywords. There's less competition. So how to avoid altitude sickness when hiking, which is actually something that, you may run into. Like I mentioned earlier, I went on a big hike yesterday. It was 13,000 feet. My friend and I, we live at altitude, and we've, neither of us have experienced altitude sickness and have spent a decent amount of time hiking and doing strenuous things up at high elevation. So luckily we're probably in decent shape for altitude sickness. So anyway, there's tons of keywords. How to stop dog from hiking leg and house. So that is a little bit different. That sounds like dog peeing in the house, which that ties the whole thing together. That makes the t-shirt make sense here. And we are talking about hiking at the beginning. That is a topic that people want to talk about anyway. So really full circle here, which is great. How to care for leather hiking boots, how to clean a hiking water bladder. I actually used a Camelback yesterday. How to breathe while hiking, 20 searches per month. Anyway, there's a shitload of keywords here, right? So this is a very valuable tool. And Keyword Chef, when Ben first emailed me and said, hey, I'm going to come up with this tool for keywords, I was like, I mean, there's like so many of them out there. Like, why are you going to create a tool? There's plenty of them that do a fine job. I don't see why we need another one, which is a very small way to think. But what this tool does is filters out all the noise. So if you've used one of the other tools, you may have noticed that there are so many keywords that you get, and it's hard to filter to find the good ones. But it's sort of built in here for Keyword Chef. And that is why it's really nice to use it. You don't have to filter and do anything too fancy. You can filter a little bit. In fact, let me show you here. If you want to look, let's say you're thinking about content silos. Let's say you want to write about blisters. So you can just click this blisters section here, and you can have a blisters silo, blisters cluster, how to prevent blisters. So these three you can kind of group together. Actually, a lot of these you can group together. All right, this is a bad silo. All right, you're not going to have too many topics, but you can dig a little bit deeper, and you may have some informational topics that are related to blisters that you can loop in here. So how to keep hiking with blisters, how to deal with blisters while hiking, those are pretty much the same. How to take care of blisters while hiking, those are all pretty much the same thing. So you do have to be a little bit mindful of that, but otherwise it's a great list. So blisters was a poor example. Let me look at, how about, this could be a big one. I want to look smaller. I'm going to find something smaller. All right, we'll just look at dogs. How to keep ticks off dogs while hiking, a couple of those. How to protect dog paws while hiking, how to keep dogs cool, how to hike with a dog. So there's a few here. How to carry an injured dog hiking. So basically, you have several ideas for a cluster here, which is a great way to do it. So, okay, let's hop out of here. We're going over an hour a little bit. Any last questions before we sign off here? And, David says, all caught up on the Doug Show, but want to hear more from Doug? Listen to episode 124, Building Online Businesses with Jared. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the shout out there. I do have a podcast, a lot of episodes, tons of episodes, a lot of recent success stories. One of the common questions I get is, does the KGR still work? We got one today. Does SEO still work? Is SEO dead? Is affiliate marketing dead? So you can listen to very recent stories of success with those various areas. The last thing I'll mention is coming up. I think it's next Monday. I have an episode coming out tomorrow, of course. Monday and Thursday is when the episodes come out. But next Monday, there's sort of a case study on KGR, pretty recent. So I encourage you to take a look at that. All right, last question. Nate said, I mentioned the niche investor retreat in my email that I sent this morning. Is it worth the upgrade in your opinion? So have a look at the courses that are available. So I'm going to have one listed. I didn't get my information to Chelsea in time, but look at the courses that are listed and some of the other details that you can get, some of the other details associated with the upgrade. I think if there's anything that you're interested in there, that it's definitely worth it. There's a massive list. All right. So there's a huge, massive list. There's probably going to be something that's relevant to you, and then it'll be worth it to take the upgrade. So the other part is, let me check. I honestly don't know off the top of my head if there's any, like, what the refund policy is. There may not be much of a refund policy based on how it's put together, but with most of like the products that, like digital education products, these online courses, usually there's a very generous refund policy because it's a bit of a trust situation. So if there's a good refund policy and you take a look at the course and you actually buy it, or not the course, but if you take a look at the upgrade and then you buy it and then you realize, hey, this is actually not what I was looking for at all, then you can ask for a refund. So check the policy. I don't know. I didn't analyze that very closely, but I would check that. And then basically from a sales perspective, like that removes all risk from someone making the purchase. And that's what I typically do, have a very generous refund policy. So have a look, Nate. If you see anything interesting, then it's probably worth it. If not, then maybe skip it. So anyway, thanks for taking a look. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for the email list, go to Niche Site Project, click the green button. I send you all my templates and systems and information like that. Thanks again to Adrian and David for hopping on today and helping in the chat. And we'll wrap it up from here. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.